Boston's Emerald Necklace, where we find rest, relaxation, and recreation. Where we discover community as we share experiences with those closest to us. Where we seek a moment of tranquility among calm waters, towering trees, and winding trails. The Emerald Necklace. These are your parks. These are your stories.
Good morning. I'm Mark Lowenstein. I'm author of this book called Great Runs in Boston. It's one of 3 running books that we published for the Boston area. The other one is Great Runs in Brookline and vicinity, and the most recent one we published is Great Runs in Boston's Burbs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
When we moved to Brookline 3 years ago, I didn't know how many wonderful areas for running and walking there are within Brookline or near Brookline. But when we moved to Brookline, I really discovered, because Brookline is very accessible to this area, the whole Jamaica Pond and Emerald Necklace area. And that got me out to Franklin Park and to Forest Hills and then inward to Fenway. And so once I got to know the town a little bit more and noticed all these wonderful places, I thought, well, why don't I put a book together that talks about the great places to go running and walking in Brookline. And so I wrote the first book in 2009 called Great Runs in Brookline and Vicinity. And that book was successful enough that a few months later we published the book Great Runs in Boston, which is focused on all the great places for running and walking in greater Boston. So it doesn't really focus on the suburbs as much, it's more the city. And certainly the Emerald Necklace is a centerpiece of that book. A linear park means it's used for a variety of purposes, not just running. And it also means, and it really sort of incorporates a lot of the assets of Boston's character. So if you really think about, I sort of think about the Emerald Necklace in different sections. You know, each of the sections of the necklace has sort of a distinct character, and that's one of the things that's very nice about it. If you think about other linear parks, they're both linear and sometimes they're a little bit more monolithic, and this is anything but monolithic. Certainly these paths are an important commuting facility. It's wonderful for recreation, and what's also nice about it is because of the way it's laid out. First of all, there's in sections, there's separate paths for running or walking and biking, so that makes it a little safer for people. And the other aspect of it that's really wonderful is that the way it's laid out with paths on either side and so on, and bridges and so on, it's possible to do a lot of interesting loops, and you can do 1 or 2 miles, and you really can do up to a 20-mile loop involving the entire Emerald Necklace if you start at the Capitol and go out to Franklin Park and back. And it's really ideally laid out. It sort of harkens back to the way cities were originally planned. I mean, you have paths that are connected to residential areas, easily connected to residential areas. There's public transportation easily accessible. There are areas of commercial activity that are easily accessible, and that sort of urban planning, which incorporates park and recreation space, is really something that I think was thought of more historically. Having traveled to many major cities in the world, and just about every major city in the United States, you really appreciate the way Boston is laid out for that. Every day that people enjoy these paths, you just recognize the beauty and the grace with which things were laid out. It's out of respect for Olmsted, who was one of the great urban and park planners in history, really, and we're very lucky in Boston to have his influence. And the importance of protecting this is because, again, Boston's a densely populated city. The areas around here are, there are a lot of people, and this is a real oasis, and people are enjoying that every single day.